Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbprou.com.
Good evening and welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and I'm excited to hang out with you once again on Tuesday evening. As you know, in business, your business can only go as far as you're prepared to take it. So one of the key pieces about being able to take your business to the next level is developing you as a leader, developing your leadership skills. That's why we created this show, Leadership Live at 8:05, to really help you get a chance to see and learn from entrepreneurial small business leaders about how they've led their organization or their expertise in a certain area of business, so that you can incorporate that into your knowledge base, and that can help you be more successful in business. So tonight, we're going to be talking about really the secret to developing a national audience. In this day and age, with technology and just really where everything is going, you have the ability to do some amazing things as a small business. No matter how small you are, you can create a national audience. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. As you know, I always focus on sales and marketing being your most important job as a business owner. So that's why the majority of our episodes focus on sales and marketing. So, developing a national audience is a piece of that. And actually, this is our first time talking about this. So I'm excited. Over the last 3.5 years, we've had almost 200 guests and a lot of different topics, but we haven't had this topic at all before. So, looking forward to having my guest Sunil on, and we're just going to chat. Always welcome your comments and questions, and let's get started. Hey Sunil, how you doing today?
Hey, very good. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining me. I know you're out in California, so it's a little bit earlier for you now. Is it still daylight out there, or is it?
Yeah. It's still it's still daylight, and it's quite bright actually. Surprisingly, we had a lot of rain here, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, definitely, you're doing some great things online, and I've done some work with you, so I have an appreciation for some of the things that you're doing. So I think we'll be able to have a great conversation this evening.
Sure.
But before we get started, it would be great if you could sort of walk people through your journey. How did you get to where you are, and where are you right now? And then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Singapore, and I spent the first 21 years there, and then I came out to do studies here in California in 1984 when I was 21 years old, and I got a double degree in electrical engineering and computer science, and then I started working as an engineer. But I got this idea I should start a business because I wanted to, I just bought a house, and I just felt like I needed to make more money. And so I started a business where it was a software coding business where I coded or programmed software for businesses around the Irvine area in California. And I used to go door knocking to generate business, and it was really hard, and then I met my mentor, my business mentor at that time, and he took me under his wing, and he showed me an easier way to do that. At that time, there was no internet marketing, but we did a mailer campaign and a couple other things to build up workshops for engineering business owners in the area to come and see how they could do coding much more inexpensively and more effectively, and it started taking off, and I did pretty well. And then he and I started a business, and we sold it, and I did even better in a couple of years after that. And then he exposed me to the world of mentoring and coaching people in business, and I was doing that as well, apart from doing my engineering work as a full-time engineer. But around 1996, after we sold the business, I took it's supposed to be a 3-month hiatus, turned into a year and a half. And I traveled the world and started really experiencing what it felt like to be a real entrepreneur. And so I caught the bug. And I mean, to fast forward to about 2008, actually 2006, I started noticing that marketing was getting more competitive, especially for small business people. It's very expensive, competitive. There was a lot more people coming in the market. And, it was kind of hard to really see what would work, what wouldn't work. And so I started investigating all the different options for doing marketing. And I happened to, on this platform called meetup.com, which a client referred me to, and it started piquing my interest because I saw there was less competition on this community that they were building. And meetup.com is a means of promoting events and communities and building communities and you can even use it for business. Originally, it was only in-person events, but it's now become online as well. And started building events and groups and communities using this platform. And it started growing. And before I knew it, it grew to about 20, 30,000 people in the Bay Area. And then we expanded to take it globally to almost every city in the United States, and then beyond to Asia and Europe. And before I knew it, I had 200,000 people, mostly solopreneurs, business professionals, in hundreds of meetup groups and communities around the world. And it was feeding me a pipeline of clients that came to my online events, which were webinars. And so I started teaching people how to use the system. And then it occurred to me I can even create a done for you service where I create the entire system that would give them, that would fill a webinar audience for them every week. So basically they would get for 4 times a month. So that would be like 48 stages or 48 webinars in a year. And so I created this system that it's a done-for-you system that I implement for people, as well as I train people now how to create these kinds of sales pipelines, which is basically filling in your webinar every week, where people come and listen to a presentation that you do, a short presentation, then you do a Q&A and interact with people there, and you invite them to either buy a program from you or participate in a free discovery session where you can upsell them to something you want to sell them to. So that's a nutshell of what I've done. I've probably done way more, but
Okay.
that otherwise I'll put people into a coma.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
So we're going to have a lively discussion, and but definitely, you started out your entrepreneurial journey at a young age, and you probably learned the number one rule is that you got to learn, you got to market and sell if you're going to stay in business. And probably learned a lot of lessons in that served you well over the years. a lot of times business owners and entrepreneurs, many of them haven't had sales experience and may be a little bit afraid of sales. What were some of the key lessons that you learned about selling, and what are some things that someone new, like a little bit of sales 101? What would you give someone to say if they're new to sales and they need to learn how to sell better?
Well, not to sound too abstract, but if you look at what Buddha taught us, Buddha had Buddhism, and he said, it's the middle path where you don't make things too hard and you don't make them too easy either. So marketing is kind of like that. It's finding the Goldilocks spot, right, where it's just right. Where you need to do a bit of work in making sure that what you offer is compelling for your market. So it's strategic work first, but it's also understanding human nature of what they want to buy is fundamentally a product or a service that's going to alter their future. So it's either going to solve a problem or it's going to make their life better. Specifically how, or it's going to make their business better. So identifying what that is specifically, and is it compelling enough? And then messaging it well. Because a lot of people talk about how they do their service, which can put people into a coma. But if you talk about what they're going to get, so if you're a marriage counselor, your marriage is going to be glorious, and you're going to have the ability to resolve debates and arguments within 10 minutes, right? In the future, which leads to more free time and beautiful romance and sex, and and having a great relationship, right? That's what people really want. But they don't want to hear you say, we're going to do 24,000 sessions a year to get there. So really saying, identifying what you're selling and to message it well is very important. That's a lot of the upfront work you got to do. The second thing is to structure your marketing so that you're not exhausted and burnt out unnecessarily. So it's creating a system to do that that focuses you on the right things, because you as the business owner of your business, you want to focus on what sells, what markets, rather than engaging yourself unnecessarily in the technology. So I think those are the two lessons. I mean, back in 1991, there was no internet. So we really, when we got a lead, got to make sure that we did enough, put our best foot forward to convert that person into a client and make sure they were, pre-qualified and all. So we didn't waste their time. And so there was a lot of good messaging that we put a lot of forethought to, and we used to do sales letters that went out to the mail. So those had to be really stellar quality to attract the right people. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, so actually, there was internet in 1991.
Yeah, it was a DARPANET. It's,
Yeah.
very
Well,
cool.
the reason I know was, I was at school at MIT, and they had Project Athena, which was like the internet. I didn't realize what it was going to turn into either. But
no, well, little clue. Yeah.
So, but you mentioned a good point. Sales and marketing, the skills you need and what you do, is very much similar or the same. It's just you're using different tools, but you still got to develop content and really develop your messaging and your plan and strategy in similar ways as before, I would think.
Yeah, the fundamentals haven't changed, interestingly, because human beings are still human beings. They're still sold in the same way. Our brains are still the same. And internet, and I mean, technology, I should say, has made some things easier, but some things more competitive because everyone's doing the same thing now. So, but they don't all do it very well. So that's in your favor. So if you learn to be, it's the 80-20 rule. It's actually really 95-5 rule, which is 95% of the people are not doing it well, 5% are. And the 5% probably make way more money than the rest of the 95%. So if you really learn a message, strategize, figure out who your market is, you're probably going to spend less time and be way more efficient and effective in your marketing and sales. And also probably your business operations, because you may not need too many people. If you have a premium service at 10K per year per client, you may only need 20 or 30 of those clients to make a year, if you're starting out. So, the questions like that, like you want to answer, if you do want a premium service, do you want a scalable service? Do you want to move to scalable later, meaning you want to have lots of clients at lower price, or do you want to stay at the premium, which is a few clients at more expensive? Basic questions like that, and where you want to focus your marketing, what you will do and what you will not do, are very good questions to ask right now before you start selling. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, we're starting to dig into the topic a little bit, but before we go too far, I just got, I have an event coming up. I do a power breakfast for entrepreneurs and business owners. So I want to just take a second to share a quick video about what it is, and if you're in the New Jersey or New York area, you should join us. It's always really great. Are you an entrepreneur or business owner? If so, you need to check out the Power Breakfast. The Power Breakfast is New Jersey's premier business networking event for entrepreneurs. The Power Breakfast is a unique forum for learning best practices, enjoying great networking, and gaining useful knowledge. Over the past 10 years, we have hosted more than 1,500 attendees who have directly benefited with revenue growth and financing. Join me at the next Power Breakfast event on March 22nd in the clubhouse at Galloping Hill Golf Course in Kenilworth, New Jersey. You don't want to miss our featured guest speaker, Jimmy Newsom, the Impact Influencer. He will be talking about how digital transformation can increase profitability for small businesses.
So I'm Jimmy Newsom, known as the Impact Influencer, influencing other small business owners to get the things done that matter the most to them, working on strategy, looking at the big picture, because that's where we find our true north to move forward. So I'm the founder of Moving Forward Small Business. We're on a mission to save 1 million businesses from failure, leveraging innovation, technology, and where this AI strategy actually falls underneath as one of the strategies you could be focusing on for let's just say 2024.
You'll also want to check out our expert panel, Maximize Your Success with Partnerships. I look forward to seeing you at the Power Breakfast on March 22nd. To learn more and register, visit www.the-power-breakfast.com today. Okay, welcome back. We're here talking small business with Sunil, and we're talking about building a national audience. You've already developed an audience of over 200,000 people, which is tremendous. How long did it take you to do something like that? And what was the key to it?
Well, it took about 10 years to do it in totality. And on hindsight, of course, I could have done it a lot sooner. So we use this platform called meetup.com. The basic fundamental abstraction, you could see the basic principle that behind the success was to bank on what I call a law of large numbers. So what most people do when they get on a platform like meetup.com is they set up one community in one area, and then they try to do events in that area, etc. But we figured out we could have, we meaning me and my original business owner, we could do several cities at the same time and have them come to one event online. So you can think of it like we set up, 24 ocean-going ships that go to different cities in North America, and they bring back people to your webinar that you do every week. And so there's a greater chance of you getting more people, but also a greater variety of people with different needs in business. But they have a fundamental need, which is what you're offering them. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's wind it back. What is Meetup?
I think, thank you. Yeah. For a lot of you who don't know what meetup.com, there are two ways you can participate with meetup.com. The first is as a free member without paying anything. You can go on meetup.com and find any kind of event or community that you'd like to join based on your interest. So if your interest is in relationship and building relationships, you can join groups that are designed for that and attend their events. And Meetup, you have a search function on there. You can find these events, search for them, join the group, and also join the events that are in those groups. As a paid organizer is what it's called. You can organize many communities as you want, and set up these communities and host your own events. So you're building a community or several communities that basically become one community, and then you're promoting your events, i.e., your webinar. If you do a webinar every week or twice a month, to these groups. So you're basically, it's used as you could say as one function is to build a community. The second is to promote your events. And the third is actually to build an email list, which it does very well as well. And the email list is very powerful because some people may not come to your events, but they'll sign up for it, but not come to the event, but they go into your email list, which Meetup doesn't do, but you can actually extract the email list for the people who attend or wanted to attend and promote your business to them as well. So on an average, people who use my system will get anywhere from like 15 to 20 to as many as 50 to 100 people showing up in an event, depending on what your market is. Typically about 1/3 to half of those people actually show up at your event. And if you do it correctly with a short educational presentation followed by an interactive question and answer section, then you can upsell to your business program that is a paid program, or you upsell to a free complimentary discovery session where people can find out more and then sign up and buy your program. So in a nutshell, that's how the system works.
Okay.
And it's a lot more, it's very cost effective. But I can go into details like that later. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, definitely, you talked about the law of large numbers, and, definitely it can be difficult to get in front of your target audience, and, having a fun to get to the point where you found the right people. So, with the meetup and the law of large numbers, what what type of rate, like you got 200,000 people, how many, and it took you 10 years, but if you started today, how long do you think it would take?
Oh, to get 200,000? That's a good question. Most people I have are pretty satisfied with 20 or 30,000 people. And that might take about maybe 3 years to do right now. And they're going at a slower pace than I did. But people are more aggressive. You can build, 100,000 might take you about 5 or 6 years. I haven't met anybody who was that passionate as I was in building a community. And the truth is, back then in 2008, it's a little bit more competitive now, but not that much. So I think fairly safely, I could say you could build about 10,000 in a year, 20 to 30,000 in 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
But for our startup and tech people, the rate of growth is much faster because there are a lot more people interested in startup and tech for fairly obvious reasons. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like you said, different people, different types of business have different inherent success rates. This is just one type of marketing tool what type of businesses is this type of is Meetup really good for, and what type of businesses might it not be very good for?
I'll start with what it may not be good for. Would be if you're trying to target C-level people, higher level executives, celebrities. You're probably not going to find them on Meetup.com. But if you're targeting professionals, working professionals, if you're targeting entrepreneurs who are making, maximum about 200,000 a year, or people who are interested in consciousness, spiritual healing, relationships, those are very, very good markets for Meetup. But again, like I said, if you're trying to target corporate people who are decision makers for bigger projects, Meetup is probably not the one, not the way to go. Yeah.
Okay, great point. And then, I guess who is it perfect for?
It's perfect for anybody who markets to the one audiences I just said. So like executive coaches, consultants who have an expertise, who understand it and love educating their market. So they have a certain expertise. They want to share their expertise. The expertise has a service or product offering behind it. So it's really perfect for coaches, experts in certain areas like law, for example, or consultants who do sales and marketing for small business owners, people who are having consciousness, uplifting consciousness, spirituality, relationships, life coaching kind of programs. Personal development programs are very good. Certainly business coaching, marketing, sales trainings are very good for that if they're directed towards small business owners who are making 200,000 or less. Those are typically really the best markets. Typically the price points are they can go as low as $500, like $500 or $200 per month subscriptions, or even $47 per month subscriptions, right up to $10,000 or $15,000 premium offerings. I think if you start going above that, then it gets a little harder to sell on meetup.com. So
Okay.
that gives an idea. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's helpful. Definitely, each marketing tool has different characteristics.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I say it's so important to start at the beginning and really do your market analysis and develop a marketing plan before you choose tools, because a lot of times people start first with the tools and then you're out there really winging it, because you may not be using the right tools for the people who are most likely to buy your products or services. So it's important to understand the fit for where you should invest your time and your money on the marketing side.
So when I work with people who come to me, usually it's a complimentary session. I try to identify what their highest priced offer is, and then I work backwards to see what that sales funnel could look like, all the way down to the designing the groups and the events. And I did fairly quickly in a quick session. And so I can tell pretty quickly if it's going to fly or not. And I think that's a good premise, what you and I come from an engineering background. So, we start with the end in mind and then work backwards to what makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Who do you want there? Why do they want to show up? Message it properly. And if you know what you're going to sell, you got a shop front. If you have a shop front, then you can work backwards to how you get people to the shop. And if shop front is good, then it's going to convert very well. So the main thing is get traffic to your shop front so people can see your shop and buy stuff. So that's the premise I work on in designing this whole system that happens to be on meetup.com. Yeah.
Okay. So now you're talking about a shop. Is Meetup good for product-oriented businesses?
We tend to, products are a little harder. And you're probably better off using other systems. But from time to time, there are products that people sell. For instance, software that helps people uh, organize their sales better, or CRMs, for example, can sell pretty well. Time management systems that are software oriented. But things like nails and stuff, I mean, you're not going to do very well selling that on Meetup. So it kind of, and I'm doing it using an extreme example. I'm not trying to be flippant here, but you really have to look at whether that kind of hardware is going to appeal to the target markets I mentioned earlier, like small business people. Will they be able to use that? I'm just doing a program promoting this a gentleman by the name of Tom Gay, who has a beautiful program for small business people in my market, which can it's a very sophisticated CRM, customer relationship management system, and so my market is ideal for him. So I can work with him for sure to market that on Meetup.com. So that's an example of a product that can be sold on Meetup.com. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So now you talk about messaging.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Earlier on, you sort of talked about, one of the keys to sales was more focusing on the benefits rather than the features. What people are going to get as opposed to what you're giving them specifically. When you're looking at messaging, is there like a format or a formula that you utilize to, figure out what is a good type of message and what may not be as good a type of message?
Yeah, I mean, I've studied brain science. I was on the path of being a medical doctor many years ago before I decided to be an engineer. But one of the things I've always been fascinated by is how the brain works, specifically in conjunction with psychology. So there's a field of brain science called social cognitive neuroscience. So enough of the geeky stuff. But basically, what that has informed me is, and this is very intuitive, that people really respond to a certain extent to pain. Like I've got too much pain, and if you bump up the pain, people will buy. And I don't. That a lot of that has been done already in the market, and it's beginning to lose its appeal. But on the other side, people like to see a future that they can go to. That's a much better future than they may have thought of before. And some people, when they come to webinars or when they first meet you, they don't have a clear idea of what they really want. So if you can message and interact with them in a way where they can get clear on what their compelling future really should look like. Like some people will say, well, yeah, I need to have a marriage that works for me. But what does that look like? And why would you want to put more urgency to it? So they may not have much urgency because they haven't really defined what they really want or what constitutes an ideal marriage for them. But if you break it down and go, well, in 20 years, you'll have someone who, laughs at your jokes, but also communicates in a way that you no longer have any drama or unnecessary upset, but you continue to grow in your relationship and you have a profound relationship for you, which in turn influences your grandchildren and creates a wonderful environment where you have 20 grandchildren, 10 kids, and a community that's very vibrant in your family. Then they get very interested. So, well, how do you create that? Well, there are 4 stages that I use. And the first stage is blah, blah, blah. Second stage is this. And, and that's how it works. And it costs this much. And it'll take me about 3 months to teach you how to do it and another 6 months to help you implement it in your family. Now people know they have a future they can go through and kind of like easy enough, understandable steps to get them there. So they have a pathway to the future and a pathway through your business. So if you message it that way, now you're creating a very compelling pathway to something that they really want and it makes sense for them. So it's really 2 jobs. You got to identify what they really want, message it really well in a way, interact with them, and secondly, show them the path and then let them choose. But the first question is always, what is it that you want fundamentally? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. And actually, your response was kind of interesting because you mentioned something that I notice a lot as well is a lot of people don't know exactly what they want and or don't know exactly what they need. And many times they may need something different than they thought they needed.
Yeah.
So, being able to successfully help people, you talk about problem solving,
Yeah.
but also it needs to be problem identification.
Very much so. Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about how you identify the problems that people may need? Because if you're going to sell successfully, market successfully, um, definitely it's important to be able to do that. And are there skills? Are there processes? What are some ways that people can learn how to do that better?
Well, it's a great question. I usually start off a discovery session with someone who wants to talk to me about my program by really framing the conversation. And what I say is, I'm of service here. I'm here to be of service. And so I ask the first question is, what would make a successful session here for you? What would you like to learn, or what result would you like to produce, or what kind of clarity do you want to have about, and specifically about what? And I leave it very open ended like that. And then they tell me what they expect for the session. Then I say, you know, what is it that you want maybe in a year or 3 months? Or what is it that if you learn this in this session, how would that, create a future for you in whatever time frame that's important for you? And then they tell me that. So I start getting a jigsaw puzzle formulating in my mind of what this future could look like for this person. And then I ask them, well, how, and this is very important. I mean, a couple other questions to ask. I have a really good friend, Mitch Axelrod, who's about as old as I am. Actually, he's a little bit older and he's got a lot more experience. And he talks about really meeting people where they're at. And I like to do that too. I like to meet people where they're at and then help them identify where they want to go. So I'm meeting them where they're at instead of trying to convince them to go where I think they should go. I meet them where they're at, where, the current state of where they're at, and then help them identify where they want to go and then define 4 or 5 steps to get there. And so that's a lot of the conversation when I get one-on-one with people. When you're in front of people, you do a version of that. You kind of give them in your PowerPoint address, you trying to get them a kind of a pathway that could be generic for people. And, you show them how the future could look like for them. So for me, a lot of things that get people intrigued about me is I say, well, I offer you 48 stages that you can speak on to sell your services in 1 year. And it's probably way more cost effective than anything else out there. And they're going, how do you do that? Then I go, well, it's 3 or 4 stages. I'll show you how to do that. There's a platform I use called meetup.com to do it. And I can probably explain it to you in like 15 to 20 minutes. Would you like to meet and talk about it? So there's a future I'm creating for them to help them identify how they can get to where they want to go. So it's important to really try and figure out what they need to go. And so that's where less of this speaking is involved. And it's more about, this, your radar called your ears and your listening that comes more into importance. So asking them questions like, why is that important for you? What's so urgent about that? And how urgent is it? When would you like to start going on that? Because some people, they may really want what they tell you they want, but maybe a 3-year cycle before they get there. So it probably save you a lot of time to just maybe touch base with them when they're more ready. So I hope that answers your question, at least.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Definitely I look at trying to meet people where they are. And follow a process when I'm working with people. And the first 2 steps are, first you got to assess where they are, and then you have to help them envision where they want to be in more detail, and really give it some thought and paint a picture of it. And that's, sort of, what you're talking about as well.
Yeah. If I can add one more part to it, I think a lot of people, we know this from brain science, people decide based on emotions and then justify it in logic later on. And it's a little bit more complicated than that. So, you want to look for what that emotional state changes that could be in the future for them. They may be really struggling with something right now. So the current state would be confusion or worry or angst or some kind of stress. And so the future could be a relief of that. But then beyond that, what's the emotion that you could be experiencing if you resolved all that stress and fear? So, there's an emotional component that you have to pay attention to as well. Yeah.
Okay. So now, I'm probably getting this wrong, but, there's a technique that I think is MLN or for sales, it's 3 letters, where it's a way of communicating or selling. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. So there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. NLP. Thanks, Deidre.
Neuro-linguistic programming. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's a field. It's a field of coaching and influence that some people use, and there's a wide-ranging number of things that people using. Sometimes it can be very mechanical. Sometimes it's just how you speak and how you talk. It can be more philosophical, or it can be more psychological or mechanical things that you say or do.
Okay. Because definitely, a lot of people swear by that, and I always try and explore different tools, different skills, different strategies that can be successful in business, especially since I work with people in all different industries.
It's kind of useful to learn different models, not just be an NLP model, but also different. There's so many other models out there. And the more models you get exposed to, the more you'll find your style. And this is very important to do, because if you only employ one style, you start becoming extremely dogmatic. You meet some salespeople like that. They occur as very rigid in their approach to sales. So they almost can't dance and chew gum at the same time, which is not very good, because your potential client need for you to understand certain nuances that they have. So that's why it's kind of good to practice different styles and see where you fit. Because if you see where you fit in these different models that are out there, then you develop your own style, which I think is more important to do in the long term, because then it becomes more natural. You're not trying to look for your script when you do a sales call. And I think that's very critical to do and learn to do that. Then you can just you can just be present with people and available to them. And because if you listen to what they're saying very keenly enough, you'll have everything you need to gauge whether they're ready to buy or they're not. And if they're ready to buy, what questions to ask naturally so that they can move into actually buying from you. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay, so we're covering some good stuff. Just going to take another break. One thing that we do, we showed a little bit about the Power Breakfast coming up on 22nd of March in Kenilworth, New Jersey. But what we do is the night before, we do a Power Network event, so that one, you can connect with people who you may be hanging out with on Friday, but also there may be people that can't make it on Friday, but it's a way to connect with them and connect them into the network. So got a short video on that, and then we'll be back with Sunil talking small business. Join us for the Power Network event at the Enterprise Center in Newark, New Jersey on March 21st. Meet with like-minded entrepreneurs in a relaxed environment to chat, connect, and collaborate.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Dunn, Senior Vice President of Newark Enterprise Center, and I'm looking forward to meeting you.
I'm Andrew Frazier. Please join me at our Power Network event, and I look forward to introducing you to our members. To learn more and register, visit www.sbprou.com/power-network. That's www.sbprou.com/power-network today. Hey, Sunil. Welcome back. Talking small business. We're talking about really the secret to developing a national audience. We've been talking about, Sunil has a strategy around using meetup groups to be able to have a presence in many cities across the country to really, build upon, a network and build a network of over 200,000 people. Just taking it from a national standpoint, marketing nationally and communicating a message nationally is different than locally. So, what are some of the nuances that you need to think about when you're looking at marketing on a national scale rather than a local or regional scale?
That's a good question. When you're doing local, obviously there may be certain things locally that people are more concerned about, like if your town has got certain political or economic pressures that are unique to your town or your area, then that's something you got to talk about. But when it comes to national, people tend to have common concerns. And it's very interesting when I travel to different cities or even go back to other countries. I was born in Singapore, so when I go back to Singapore, sometimes I forget I'm in Singapore when I'm sitting out in a cafe. They have Starbucks, they have In-N-Out, all kinds of similar things to here, so people have the same concerns. They have the same kind of businesses, same kinds of or similar kinds of marketing. So you can almost and similar kinds of human wants as well. So when it comes to marketing on a national stage, I can speak definitely to the North America or the main cities in North America. You want to talk more about general things that people want in their business or in their personal life. So when I think it comes to local marketing, which how I started in the Bay Area in 2008, a lot of people were struggling in business, and you could address some of the local issues, but for global, you tend to be more general. But it's interesting because you'll find that depending on what locality you're talking about, if it's a small town, then you're only going to deal with small town issues, and you have a business that's only for that small town. But a lot of it is really changing now, where people, even in small towns, have similar issues or the same issues that people in big cities when they're doing small business. I can't speak about big business, but I can speak about small business. It's all pretty much the same things. It's about selling, marketing, or even if it comes to relationships issues, they're pretty much the same. It's how to communicate well. How do I raise kids effectively and still have time left for myself? How can I express myself well to other people? It's very much the same kind of stuff. So I hope that gives a comprehensive enough answer. Of course, there's always beauty in the details, and it kind of depends on what your particular situation is. Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm curious to see if we are going to do any Q&A with anyone in particular, because I can answer the question more directly if it comes to that. And if it doesn't, that's fine. But it kind of depends on the situation too. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a question from Roger. He had asked about using NLP. How does that work in a live group environment? You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there are. It's been a while since I've done NLP. Sometimes I do it almost automatically now these days. But a lot of NLP is about. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of it, but one field of NLP is certainly about getting people to see what their current state is, and to see how long they want to tolerate the current situation. How sometimes people are not really clear about the impacts of tolerating or keeping things the way they are. For example, if you're in a relationship and you do relationships coaching with somebody, sometimes you may need to presence the pain of not taking action. And you can do that in a large group by posing questions. And this is why I like my particular format, because we don't overwhelm people with too much information of how they get there. But they talk about what they're going to get in the future, which inherently means or implies what they don't have now. So if you presence that juxtaposition, what you don't have now that you'd like to have, and what are the costs and payoffs of keeping it the way it is right now. So one of the NLP distinctions, again, it kind of depends on which NLP field you're in or specialty you're in. But the NLP I always train in is you look at the costs and the payoffs of keeping things the way they are. And then you look at the costs and payoffs of moving to the future that you really want. And most people will see, wow, you know what? The costs outweigh the payoffs in keeping things the way they are right now. But if I changed and invested a bit of money and time and energy, the return on investment for creating a future is much better. So now they start shifting, the mind starts shifting and starts getting attracted to actually taking action. And there are ways to do this in a presentation that can be very effective. And then if you get into the Q&A or the interactive part, the Q&A part of my presentation, the way I do webinars, is actually the part where you really start engaging and selling. In fact, all of sales occurs in the Q&A. It doesn't occur in your PowerPoint. Your PowerPoint gives people enough of an organization of what they can, an organization of thinking around their problem or where they want to go. But the Q&A is when you address people one-on-one, and you address them in a way that other people are listening in can also get positively impacted by. So again, you ask them the questions, well, how long do you want to tolerate that? If you have enough trust with them. So you have to learn to create trust. So I create trust when the moment when I train my people, I tell them, you start selling from the moment they get out of the car. In the old days when I did events, we made sure that when people got out of the parking lot, they had enough clear direction. They felt served at every point. So they weren't lost trying to find where the event location was. There were enough people to guide them. The way they were serviced at each point as they got to their seat was critical. So they felt welcome. They felt safe. They felt like they were already in relationship with me as the trainer that's going to lead their program. And similarly, in a webinar, when people come in, you welcome them, and you start engaging with them right from the start. And where are you from? What city are you in? What's the weather like? And what would you like to learn from today? Oh, why is that important for your business? So you build relationship with them right from the start. And then when you get to the Q&A part, that's when you can get more intrusive and call on people to engage with you. Most of the time, people are quiet in the Q&A because they're trying to figure out what they want to ask. So if you create enough safety, they'll come on the Q&A and go, I don't know what to ask, Sunil, but let me just start talking and maybe you can make sense of what I really need to do. And that's beautiful. If you get them to that stage, then you're selling. Yeah.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So you covered some really key things, but we don't have much time because an hour goes really fast. But just a couple. This is the lightning round, so just a couple of things is you talked about, I always say, to get people to buy from you, they got to know, like, and trust you. And
Right.
in the webinar format, that seems like a great format to be able to do that. But also customer service is key, and it's a way to differentiate yourself. And you can do customer service before they're even a customer if you do it right. Anything to share around those observations?
What you say is very true, because a lot of people neglect the customer service part, which the customer service also leads to repeat sales. So if you got a customer, a good percentage of my customers, they come in for the done with you training, upgrade to the done for you training, which is, they're paying a lot more money, but they see value. And it's a natural progression. So you don't want to ignore your customer service. In fact, you should make it a part of the customer service to find out a couple of things once they buy, even your lower level programs. An important question is asked is, why did you buy from me versus someone else? That's $1 million question to ask. Why me versus someone else? What is it about me, particularly about my system or my manner of service or the stages I lead? What had you be more intrigued or more compelled to buy from me from someone versus someone else? And you see, they're going to tell you in plain English why they bought from you versus someone else. And you want to take that plain English, which will be devoid of your jargon. And so you can put it in what I call plain Shakespearean, I call it business Shakespeare. It's English that anyone can understand and feel intrigued by, but still understand what you're saying. So if you can get that kind of verbiage from them, that's the stuff that goes into your marketing and improves your marketing. But the other thing is to also find out what else they need once they buy from you. And then you can, create a program for them, or you refer them to other people, and maybe you collect a commission in a very just and good way.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. No, those are great comments. So now, we're bumping up against the hour, but I always like to ask guests to really come up, if you could sum up what we talked about tonight into 3 key bullet points or 3 key things that people can take away and even get started with tomorrow. Definitely that would be great. I'll give you a minute to do it, but definitely give it some thought. I'll play a short video about my most recent book, and then we'll be back and hear the top 3 things from Sunil. Most businesses are not growing, could be more profitable, and have cash flow issues due to lack of capital. What if you knew the secret to generating revenue, maximizing profitability, and acquiring capital when you need it? I'm Andrew Frazier, and I've developed a proven 5-step framework to take you from startup to scaling faster and easier. I laid it all out in the Masterpreneur Playbook. It's available now in both English and Spanish on Amazon, Audible, and my website, sbprouU.com. Get your copy today to start selling more and making more sooner. Okay, welcome back to Leadership Live. I'm here with Sunil, talking small business. We're talking about developing a national audience, really, selling and marketing in a specific target way. So Sunil, what are three things people can take away from our conversation today that they can put to work immediately?
I think it's how I work with people is at three stages. The first stage, I mean, again, I work backwards from what people ultimately sell. So the first thing is to identify what your premiums, your ideal premium service would be and how much it would cost, and to write it up as a title, and then like what they will get, like just 4 or 5 points of what they will get. And you want to really give like results and experiences that are compelling and unique to your program that they wouldn't get anywhere else. So you start with an ideal offer. And then from there, work backwards to, what would you offer as a discovery session for them to find out more about this program? So if you know what you're going to offer, you can almost design your discovery session or a free consultation. And then from there, what you want to do is design your sales funnel that will get more people there. So in my case, I look at your offer, I look at what your discovery session could look like, and then I work backwards to design your meetup events that you'll do, your webinars, in other words. And then from there, I help you design your communities and the system that will get more people into those communities and thus into your events and thus into your discovery sessions, and then back, to sell your ideal programs. And if people can't afford your ideal programs, you can always cut down your ideal program to something more affordable that they can start with. So I like that approach because, especially for people who are starting out or have been struggling for a while in that business, this kind of focuses you on what's going to really work. Because if you get those three things right, then you can sell almost anywhere. You can sell your discovery session or even your offer at a party, or you meet somebody in an airplane, you have a conversation. What do you do? You can come up with an answer that intrigues them right away, or they'll at least know people that they can refer you to. Hope that helps.
Okay, great. So you're talking about really creating your offer. I always look at it as what is your product or service, or what is your solution, and to what problem. Discovery session, I guess that's where you learn about them and figure out the fit. And then your sales funnel, what is your marketing plan, and what is the process that you want people to go through? Excellent. So definitely we covered some great stuff, but these are some great nuggets that people can take away and really focus on as they go forward tomorrow. So definitely thank you so much for really hanging out tonight. Definitely you're doing some great stuff, and I'm excited to continue working with you. And wish you the best. So thanks for sharing with the audience.
And thank you for the opportunity to make a difference with your community, and I much appreciate that. And I look forward to working with you as well. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, and Roger, I see your question. Unfortunately, I can't. I don't want to take this too long, but we can answer that online. But all right, Sunil. So hang out for a minute as I close things out, and we'll go from there. So once again, excited that to have Sunil on and really chat with him about some things that can work for you as a business owner to expand your visibility. This day and age, the world gets smaller and smaller, so it's important to be able to do a wider outreach. So the meetup strategy can be a good strategy for certain types of businesses, and even if it's not the strategy for your business, like we talked about earlier, there's marketing best practices, and we talked a lot about marketing best practices, things that you should be doing from a marketing standpoint, whether it's through Meetup or through whatever marketing strategy is most appropriate for reaching your target market. So definitely, this was a great conversation. Next week, we're going to be shifting gears. but have a great topic as well. We're going to talk about raising capital to acquire a business. I have Kevin coming on, and he's the partner at Fruition Capital, and he's actually bought several businesses, and he's raised capital to help other people buy businesses. So he's got a wealth of knowledge, and really looking forward to having him on next week. So definitely invite you to tune in and join us. And then don't forget about the Power Breakfast on the 22nd and the Power Networking on the 21st. And just remember, when you're in business, at the end of the day, the more that you know, the faster and more successfully your business is going to grow.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.